All right, what's good, chat? Today we're going to be watching We Need to Talk About Him, the greatest Powerpuff Girls villain of all time. Let's get it.
90s Cartoon Network cartoons hold a special place in my heart.
Forever.
When I was like pre-K age, they were all I would watch. Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Ed, Edd n Eddy, and of course the Powerpuff Girls, along with old Scooby-Doo reruns and Hong Kong Phooey, and
nice.
I was a happy camper. It wasn't until a little bit later in my childhood that I became enamored with Nicktoons, but as far as cartoons go, the Powerpuff Girls was always one of my favorites. I got the chance to talk about it recently in another video about the Freaky Friday flip, which I'll link in the description down below for you to check out after this one.
Alright.
After making that video, I was left with the drive to check out Powerpuff Girls some more. I remember watching it when I was growing up and just loving all the villains in this show. There were so many good ones.
That's facts, chat. That is facts. You can't deny it. Think about it. Powerpuff Girls, for a show, really has some of the best consistently has some of the best villains, period. Like, not just him, even though him is the GOAT. I know some people would argue Mojo Jojo or Fuzzy Lumpkins or whatever, but nah, him is him for a reason. But a lot of their villains are still pretty dope and creative and different, and just each one was unique in its own, like, They were all kind of creepy in a way, you know what I'm saying? Powerpuff Girls does not get enough credit for that. They have, like, the best villain lineup ever. I'll go ahead and say it.
You got Fuzzy Lumpkins, the Amoeba Boys,
Yep.
the Gangrene Gang,
My
and
second
of course
favorite.
Mojo Jojo. I said this in the last video that I talked about this show, but I feel like they put a lot more creativity into the villains of the show than they did to the protagonists. Don't get me wrong, I love the Powerpuff Girls. They're charismatic, brave, and strong, and they make for great protagonists, but in my opinion, finding out which villain they're fighting this time is always what makes the episode for me. The villains in the show are just so well created and have so much character to them, but of all the villains in the show, there's one that reigns the most sinister, creepy, and dangerous foe of all.
Yo.
We're talking about none other than him. Him is a powerful, flamboyant devil who's the king of the underworld. He's immortal and has dark magical powers. Him has a very androgynous appearance with his large lobster-like claws, pointy ears, widow's peak hair, and his long, curled beard. More than anything, it's his smile for me. He has that sinister smile that just screams that he's up to no good. He's usually seen wearing this interesting ladies' red jacket and skirt with what seems to be pink fur at the collar and hemline, and of course his thigh-high, spike-heeled stiletto boots. Not surprisingly, we don't know much about him. We don't know why he hates the Powerpuff Girls, but we do know that he's often keen to attacking psychologically rather than physically. He's an ominous being that I grew up being incredibly terrified of.
Now, I was not terrified or scared of him, but he was definitely creepy. You know, just, I can't even do his voice, but when he talked like, you know, like the way he talked, of course, the look, how the guy broke it down, like, you didn't know if it was a boy or if it was a girl. Some of, you know, a lot of us thought it was the devil. Like, it was just an oddity of a character. It was just very strange, very weird, and honestly, nothing like any other villain we've seen in a kid's cartoon till this day. I mean, if y'all can name someone that rivals him on the creepiest meter, I'm talking about for a kid's show like Powerpuff Girls, go ahead and drop those down in the comments. I'll be interested in reading those. But, like, he might be the greatest cartoon villain of all time. Like, if he was scary, then a lot of us wouldn't have even turned on Powerpuff Girls if he was on. We would have, oh shit, I'm changing that. You know, no, him is on the screen. I'm good. I gotta get his ass off there. But, like, I was more so scared for the Powerpuff Girls whenever him popped up on screen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all know Mojo Jojo's backstory. I mean, eventually, I think we got it in, like, the movie, if I'm not mistaken. We all know what happened to him. But if any other character deserves, like, a story of their own, or like, you know, like a miniature, mini episode, mini series, whatever you want to call it, it would be him. Tell me I'm lying right now. Tell me you wouldn't sit back and watch like a whole mini series about him, where he came from, how he became him, all that stuff. Man, I would stream that in a heartbeat.
That's why today, on our nostalgic walk down memory lane, we're going to check out a few episodes revolving around him. The first episode we're going to check out is actually the first episode to ever feature him. We're looking at the season 1 episode, Octi Evil.
I think I remember this one. Oh, yeah! Now, I ain't really gonna spoil anything if you've seen, like, how have you not seen Powerpuff Girls, but I'm pretty sure this is the episode where Bubbles' pet plush octopus, her little fluffy toy octopus thing, is talking to her, and I think it's actually him. I remember this episode. God, that intro!
The city of Townsville
is under attack! Every time. Every time.
Powerpuff Girls!
Bang,
we see the
pow.
Powerpuff Girls fighting this giant red Hydra-like monster, and they end up using it for Bubbles to jump rope.
But what's this? It appears our girls are secretly being monitored. Oh no, not... I can't say it! This is a villain so evil, so sinister, so horribly vile, that even the utterance of his name strikes fear into the hearts of men. The only safe way to refer to this King of Darkness is simply... him.
What an introduction. When's the last time you ever heard a villain on a cartoon get talked about and get brought up in that manner? You know what I'm saying? Where they speak about them just like that. He said, I can't even say his real name. This man is so vile and crazy and just absolutely the worst being ever. They said, yeah, this man was Voldemort before Voldemort. This is he who must not be named.
This is a villain so evil, so sinister, so horribly vile, that even the utterance of his name strikes fear into the hearts of men. The only safe way to refer to this King of Darkness is simply... him.
Oh, snake beast. You didn't destroy them at all, did you?
So creepy.
We cut over to the Powerpuff Girls, who are using the Hydra monster that we learned was sent by him to play catch. Buttercup throws it too hard and causes Blossom to accidentally crash into a building that the mayor is in. Her and Buttercup start fighting.
You threw it too hard! Did not! Did too! Did not! Did too! Stop it!
I remember.
When you guys fight.
Yes. I remember.
When you guys fight. When you guys fight.
He preys on Bubbles. He preys on Bubbles. I remember this episode now. I'm going to let this man explain it. He can explain it way better than I could. But yeah, he preys on Bubbles, seeing that she is the emotional one. She can be scared easily. She can be taken advantage of. He just notices, whatever this thing is, notices that, and oh, yeah, let's get it.
Yes. Well, I love it when you girls fight. I think you should fight more often. Oh, Bubbles, don't cry, little one.
We cut to the Powerpuff Girls' house at bedtime, where Blossom and Buttercup are in a verbal altercation, and the professor is trying unsuccessfully to break it up. We see Bubbles in her room just crying her eyes out, saying that she hates fighting.
There's Auntie. Yep.
I can talk, and I heard what you were saying about your sisters. You're right, Bubbles. It's wrong for them to fight.
This is weird.
Octi tells Bubbles to get closer so that they can talk, and he uses telekinesis to close the door so she doesn't have to listen to the fighting anymore.
In my opinion, Blossom is being far too bossy for her own good. In fact, I think that Buttercup should be in charge.
That voice.
Yeah, that's it. Bubbles, you should talk to Buttercup and tell her that she should be running the show.
Oh, what did I tell you about him? Evil, Evil! You're insane!
We cut over to the kindergarten where the girls get called by the mayor to go fight a giant monster. They head out and we see Bubbles flying while holding Octi still. Blossom tells her to put him down, but when she goes to, Octi argues with her.
Octi, I have to put you down.
Why? Just because Blossom told you to?
But
Blossom's not always right.
The mind games.
We see Blossom and Buttercup just getting destroyed as they refuse to work together. Bubbles tells Buttercup that Octi said she should do what she wants and to not do what Blossom wants. That gives Buttercup all the convincing that she needs to attack carelessly.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
oh no!
It's headed right for that senior citizen!
Right for. Did y'all kill her old lady? For real? Blossom! I mean Buttercup! Oh, she's
Later
alive.
that night, we see Blossom and Buttercup fighting yet again, this time a lot more elevated. The professor tries to break it up, but he's unable to when the girls start fighting with their powers.
Well, I suppose it was inevitable. I always knew they wouldn't last.
On the same team. With Blossom and Buttercup busy fighting, Bubbles doesn't stand
Bro.
a chance. I'm winning.
Son.
Just then, we see Bubbles in her room crying to
What?
Octi, who isn't responding to her anymore.
Octi, why don't you say something?
Bro. Gonna break her heart.
Stupid little girl.
I remember this shit. Yo.
Fighting because of you. Because you believe your toys can really talk. And you actually do what they tell you to do.
Damn.
I know that voice. You're him!
Very good. I'm flattered.
This like just proves that like a kid's brain is completely different because this storyline is absolutely fire. He took advantage of the emotional one, of the, the one that's easy to take advantage of, sadly, which is Bubbles, you know what I'm saying? She's easily tricked, easy to manipulate. This man is tearing down the entire family. He said, I don't even have to fight you guys. I'm going to make you guys kill each other. Him is a savage. This man, bro. And then like, it's just, like I said, I knew it was creepy back then, but it's even more creepy now just hearing him talk, especially when he turns it up like this and gets to talk. Like how he's switching in and out of the octaves and the different ranges of voice, you know what I'm saying? From the high voice to the like really dark and evil mad voice. And then sitting up, he told you stupid little girl. Like, bro, like this episode is a banger. I'm reinvested. I need to watch this show back now because this is hitting harder right now than it did back then. Like I said, back then I knew it was creepy, but I didn't realize the manipulation, the tactics, the mind games that he was playing. Man, that is, and then the fact that he called her a stupid little girl. You believe your toys can talk to you? What an idiot. And not only that, you did what they told you to. God, you're stupid.
Him tells Bubbles that he's gonna destroy the world and he leaves in Octi's body. Bubbles gives chase, trying to stop him, but he's already destroyed a few buildings by the time she gets to him.
Stop! You used me!
Did he?
That's what I did.
That's not fair!
No, it isn't. Neither is this.
Bro,
Bubbles is in trouble!
this episode is
With
dark.
Blossom and Buttercup joining forces to save Bubbles,
Holy hell.
him in his Octi form burns to ashes.
Look at
After
this.
that, we cut over to the girls at home, reflecting on what they learned.
For all my hard work, I should be the leader!
Never.
You tell him, Bubbles.
Yeah, let's laugh it off.
So once again, the day is saved. Thanks to the Powerpuff
I'm
Girls.
rewatching this.
Now, this episode is one that I clearly remember terrifying me when I was a little kid. Him is a character that just shook me to my core. Like, not only is he literally the devil, but like the way they put that echo in his falsetto-esque voice is just so ominous. It really shined through in this episode, that's awesome. For sure. This one is a shining example of what's so creepy about him, though. When he attacked in this episode, it was strictly psychological. He sent other monsters to fight, but like his personal attacks on Bubbles weren't really him per se. He took the form of Octi, but I don't think it was literally him in the flesh.
It wasn't.
This whole time, he's been using Octi as a vessel to communicate with Bubbles, so who's to say he couldn't take over Octi's form and manipulate it how he pleased? He is the devil after all, so I'm pretty sure he has the ability to do that.
Is he the devil though, really? Like, is that confirmed? I don't know about that. I feel like he could be worse than the devil. Yeah, I said it. He could probably outsmart the devil. The mind games he would play with Satan. See, my thing is another human being just like me and you created this. This came from the mind of a person. You know, how do you even think of a character like him, yet alone bring it to life, put it on paper, draw it up? Like, how do you even do that? That's why humans are astonishing. We really are an interesting species, because like, for instance, like Silent Hill, where does your brain go to create Silent Hill? And I wonder the same thing with him. Like, how do you even, it's about a kid's cartoon. It's like these three girls that are superheroes. They were created by a professor in a lab, and now they're here to save the day. You know, the city of Townsville, all that stuff. And who thought I got the perfect villain for this show, and you create him. I can tell you right now, I would have never been able to come up with the concept of him. I would have probably gave them the most generic fucking cartoon villains you can think of.
One thing I found interesting in this episode is the fact that him felt the need to target Bubbles because she's the weakest of the three girls, as seen when they start fighting and Bubbles just cries. She's the most emotionally vulnerable, which would naturally lead you to being more susceptible to a psychic attack, such as the one him used on her. I just gotta take a sec and say that it's almost unfathomable how powerful him really is. Like, they can't even refer to him by his name, they just refer to him by his pronoun because he is literally that evil. It's actually kinda badass when you look at it that way. Like, this guy was able to use the power of telekinesis to shut a door when he wasn't even actually there. He was just using Octi as a vessel to communicate. That's how powerful he is.
Got a point.
Other than that, though, I really like that this was the episode that introduced us to him as a character. This episode really did it in a rather creepy manner that left us as viewers feeling very uneasy, and I don't know about you guys, but kind of anxious. Yeah. Fun fact though, this is the only episode where we see Octi's facial expression change. Usually Octi is seen sporting a rather lazy smile, but when him had possessed Octi, he was donning a rather wicked looking smile. I do find it interesting that literally they didn't really have to fight him at all whatsoever to beat him. It was just their love as sisters that ultimately caused them to defeat him in the end. There was no actual battle that took place, just a little bit of property damage. Like, him in his Octi form destroyed a few buildings, but like, other than that, when Buttercup and Blossom reunited, he just kind of gave up, I guess. I don't know. One way you could look at it could be that with Blossom and Buttercup reuniting, it gave Bubbles hope, which caused him to lose the power he had over Bubbles. Yeah. So he just maybe ran and went back into hiding. I'm not sure, but either way, this episode served as a pretty solid introduction to him as a character, I'd say. Next up, we're going to check out another episode featuring him, and this one is, of course, yet another one that shook me to my core as a child.
Let's go!
We're checking out the Season 2 episode, Speed Demon.
The nostalgia that's hitting me when I see this! Bruh!
This episode starts out with a nice and sunny day in the city of Townsville, while Buttercup is counting down the seconds for the bell to ring so that she can go home for the weekend.
Buttercup? Buttercup!
Huh?
Please, pay attention. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. If Billy and Sally each had an apple, then that's 2 apples. But if Billy threw his apple to Sally at a trajectory of 1.8 meters per second...
You lost me.
Assuming an Einsteinian universe, the distance
I'm not
between
doing
two
math.
points remaining constant, space and time being two elements of the same ratio...
After her obnoxiously long math equation, Miss Keene
That's not
excuses
math,
the
that's
class for
meth.
the weekend.
Oh boy, a whole weekend in the Bahamas. I can't wait. I'm gonna lay out and work on my town.
What?
And a whole weekend away from the city of Townsville. And the hotline phone. Wow! Powerpuff Girls, this is the mayor. Get over here right away. I seem to have accidentally flushed myself down that toilet.
I like how they're already complaining about their job. Do they even get paid from this? That's the number one question I would be asking. Where's the money, Mayor? But also, they were just like, yeah, we get a break from this damn city and that damn phone that won't stop going off. And then Bubbles proceeding to roast the mayor. I mean, they really don't want to save us. They just kind of have to.
We see the girls getting ready to leave, and Buttercup challenges the other girls to a race home, and they all speed off as fast as they can.
Okay.
Bye, girls!
Slow down.
Damn. They said we on vacation, cuh. Damn, they mess with speed and time? Hold up! They're that fast? Where's the flash at?
The girls go through this trippy psychedelic tunnel as they fly through time and space, and they come out on the other side in front of their house.
I did not know
Buttercup is rude to Bubbles, and she starts crying for the professor, so...
I remember this episode too. Now I'm not gonna say anything, but wow. Another banger of an episode. Clearly, every episode that had him in him. Wow. Pause. I didn't say that. AI. But clearly, every single episode that had him in it was a banger. Clearly.
they run into his lab.
Sugar, spice, and powdered rice?
Yo.
No, darn. Why didn't I write
remember.
it down?
Yes.
Who's there?
Wow.
No.
The professor.
It can't be. Oh, my mind playing tricks on me again. Why won't you leave me alone?
Creepy, bro.
Professor, it's us, the Powerpuff Girls.
Stay back. Leave me alone.
The girls exit the house as fast as they can,
His cane
and they
is
find the
broke.
city of Townsville just in ruins. They
Yep.
make their way to the mayor's office, and this happens.
Why wouldn't they come?
Oh, Miss
It doesn't
Bella.
make any sense.
Just watch.
And now it's too late. He's gone.
She's sad, yo.
What happened here?
Give away. He's mine. Don't come any closer.
The girls are flying away, and
Wow.
they can't help but wonder how this could have happened. They make their way to their school, where they find their teacher, Miss Keene, just repeating the same thing over and over again.
I just stood there waving goodbye, and they raced off.
Yes.
Just stood there waving
I remember,
goodbye,
bro.
and they raced off for 50 years.
This episode was absolutely insane. Now, like, I haven't thought about this or seen this in forever. But the minute they passed through that time space portal and I saw the little bit of that house, I automatically knew it was post-apocalyptic city of Townsville. This episode, it might be the best episode in the entire series. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Sorry, I keep stuttering. I told y'all that happens. This shit right here was indeed creepy, and is still creepy to this day. Look at the teacher, bro. What did these people see? What happened?
50 years. 50 years.
50 years. The eye crust.
50 years.
Don't you know, the faster you go, time slows down.
We see him appear on some wreckage nearby. He starts taunting them psychologically.
It's coming back now.
This motherfucker right here.
So, which one of you slowpokes wants to race me home? No!
Yes! As you raced through time, the whole world went to heck.
You lie! Don't believe him, girls!
The girls
They're in
fight
hell.
him and just pound him into oblivion, but he doesn't really seem fazed. They taunt him, but he transforms into a gigantic demon monster.
Yes.
He tells them that all of this is their fault because they abandoned their friends.
You did this.
You did this.
No!
Now this episode really is creepy. The way Professor looked, the music, of course, him just being him. That's creepy off rip. But like, look at the fingers. Like, just look at like the way they all look. Oh my God. They all just look so disgusting and sick. And just like I said, like they've been through some shit. Like, how are these people surviving? Is there even any food left? Like, a kid's cartoon should not be this creepy. All right. No one turned on the Powerpuff Girls thinking I'm in for a psychological thriller. We're watching a drama right now. Like, what in the because this is hitting way different as an adult. Like I said, I don't even feel like I'm watching a said cartoon. Like this, like episodes like these just feel like something completely different, and I fucking love it.
All I did was take over. It was easy.
Look at him.
Why'd you leave us, Powerpuff Girls?
This is
Why?
crazy.
You weren't here to protect us. You weren't here. It's your fault. Your fault.
Everybody blames the Powerpuff Girls for what happened, and the guilt eats them alive. They
Guilt?
fly up into the air, and they end up crashing back down and flying backwards and back in time.
And then all these people are old and Miss Bellum had warts!
Okay. But if we don't hurry, we'll miss our flight to the Bahamas.
Sorry, Professor, but we can't leave Townsville. Can you imagine what would happen if we weren't here to protect it?
Well, heck if I know.
Exactly!
So once again...
Psych. So once again, the day is, was, and forever will be saved.
There we go.
Thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. I'm never gonna drive over 55 again.
This episode is another really good one in my opinion.
great
I gotta
one.
give some love to Bubbles for her impression of the mayor in the beginning. It just had me dying. Other than that though, seeing Buttercup in the beginning just counting the seconds until class is over was just so relatable. This was me all throughout growing up, just so excited to get out of class on a Friday. Even now as an adult, this is me at my computer at work just counting down the
Facts.
seconds until my shift is over and I can go
Facts.
home. I noticed something else that I definitely have to bring up, which I'm not gonna lie, I didn't connect the dots on until my second time
Did he
watching
do the
this
math
episode through
equation?
while doing research for this video. In the beginning, we see the girls' teacher, Miss Keene, doing some math equations.
Yes.
She starts spouting off this really complex equation, but what really caught my attention was the very end of it.
Between two successive events, the quantum rules that govern the subatomic level of the universe according to Einstein's theory of relativity, time does not remain a constant at equality when approaching the speed of light. Therefore, as one approaches the speed of light, the distance between the two successive points shrinks to zero. However, for the people back home, a considerable amount of time would pass, somewhere in the neighborhood
wait.
of 50 years.
Oh!
Watching this the second time, I totally realized that Miss Keene literally wrote out the scientific equation that represents exactly what the girls did that
Yep.
resulted in them being teleported 50 years in the future.
Yep.
When the girls are 50 years in the future, we see Miss Keene seemingly with PTSD just standing there in the
creepiest.
school repeating the same thing over and over and over again. It was really shocking to see her like this, but I can't help but wonder what got her there. Who came by to question
her
her that
eyes.
resulted in her being stuck and repeating those
What did
words
she
over
see?
and over again? I can't help but paint this picture in my mind of like the government coming to talk to her about where the Powerpuff Girls went and seeing the equation written on the chalkboard and wondering if Miss Keene had anything to do with their disappearance, but I don't know, that's just my inner conspiracy
Nah, that's
theorist
too
going
much.
crazy with the events of this episode. I do want to take a second to point out that when the city was in ruins, I really loved the way that they just had that ominous red filter over everything. It just kind of looked like a destroyed hellscape of ruin and despair. The artists on this show did a great job of drawing the city in ruins. Watching it back now as an adult, I can't lie, it kind of gives me Fallout New Vegas vibes just a tiny bit.
Oh, that's a good
Now, really
comparison.
quick, I do want to stress that I enjoyed this episode. It was really good, and it kept my attention the whole time. However, I do do have just a small problem with the way that they got back to the present time. They literally just, like, fell to the ground from the skies above and just kind of scooted backwards, and it sent them back in time to the exact day that they needed to go to.
Got a point.
By that logic, if that's just how it works, then the girls need to worry about just, like, in general, falling at the wrong speed, because it could just send them back in time, apparently.
Like a time
I don't
travel.
know, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, they had to put in all this effort to get to the exact speed to go this far forward in the future, and it felt like it took so much effort, but going back was just like, oh yeah, we fell back like 10 feet and now we're back 50 years in the past. Maybe I'm looking too far into it, but it just feels like it didn't make much sense. But I do have to say though, him was so incredibly creepy in this episode. The way he was talking in rhyme when we first saw him was just so eerie. He's one of those characters where it, like, almost doesn't matter what he's doing, just him being there is creepy enough. He has such an eerie presence that it's kind of impressive. This episode was a good showcase of his power as he transformed into a massive demon monster to fight the Powerpuff Girls. Him having the ability to change his form is just another factor that makes him literally the most dangerous foe for the Powerpuff Girls to face. Another thing that really creeps me out about him is the way he just kind of doesn't put up a fight sometimes. When we see the girls swarm him and all just like start wailing on him, he doesn't really flinch or try to fight back.
Psychotic.
It's like he just takes the beating without even batting an eye. His ability to do that is kind of freaky, not gonna lie, but somehow I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Looking back on the show, it kind of surprises me that Cartoon Network would allow this show to have a character like him, given that he has such a kind of satanic implication. But on that same note, this is the same network that aired Cow and Chicken with the Red Devil guy, who's usually showing his butt, so hey, it is what it is, I guess. All in all, I feel like him is a great character because he's definitely one of the most mysterious and creepy of all the villains in the show. But hey, that's just my opinion. But I gotta ask, what do you think? Is him your favorite villain from this show?
Yes.
If not, who is your favorite? Let me know in the comments down below. I always love seeing your guys' feedback. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like and maybe share it with a friend. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.